The Federal is organizing the Tenkasi Marathon 2024 on March 24. This marathon is about raising awareness for 100% voting, supporting breast cancer awareness, and celebrating International Women's Day month. This event is sponsored by Anayam Scan.
Hello and a warm welcome to Federal's special program, Capital Beat. Election Commission of India today announced the poll schedule for the Lok Sabha elections in 2024. This election will be held in seven phases, starting from 19th of April, and the last phase of polling is on 1st of June. The counting will be held on 4th of June. That's what I'm told. Then the Vidhan Sabha elections will be held in Arunachal, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, and Sikkim. There will also be by-elections for 26 Vidhan Sabha seats. So that's what the poll schedule says. And apart from that, Election Commission today again made very tall claims. They said that the political parties are advised to ensure a responsible social media behavior. Originator of fake news will be dealt with severely as per the extent laws, that is section 79(3)(b) of the IT Act. Then fake narratives will be curtailed and Election Commission will take strict action. Apart from that, the other points which the Election Commission made was that there should be no caste or religious appeals, no criticism of any aspect of private life, pattern of the past MCC violations to prepare grounds for civilized campaigning in 2024. Then Election Commission also said that the political parties will have to refrain from unverified and misleading ads, no masquerading of advertisements as news, restraint on social media posts, vilifying and insulting rivals. Then responsibility lies on the star campaigners to maintain decorum. So these were the big points coming out of the press conference which was held by the Election Commission of India. And of course, Chief Election Commissioner Rajiv Kumar today was accompanied by the newly appointed Gyanesh Kumar and Sukhbir Singh Sandhu as well. But the big question is that the Election Commission appeared to be impartial, but can it walk the talk? That is the biggest question on everybody's mind. Joining me now is Javed Ansari, senior journalist and editor. Thank you so much for joining. We have Vivek Deshpande, senior journalist, political commentator. Thank you so much. We have Girish Joshi, who's a senior journalist and political commentator. Thank you so much. And Pushpraj Deshpande, who's the director of the Samrit Bharat Foundation. He also joins us. Thank you, Pushpraj, for joining. I'll begin with Javed Ansari. Javed, the very tall claims today made by the Election Commission of India saying that, they will go beyond the moral censure and now they will take strict action against the political parties who violate the rules and on all the parameters which I just read out. But the biggest question is that can they really walk the talk? Will they just end up targeting the opposition parties, or will they have enough gumption to take on the ruling party as well?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. Taken at face value, it all sounds all very good. But we know if the past is anything to go by, that they've always fallen short of their tall claims, that they've only acted against the opposition, and therefore the onus is on the Election Commission to prove its bona fides. We'll have to wait and see. We can't first trust and then verify. We will first verify and then trust. And this 7-phase election, I'm very intrigued by the 7-phase election. It's very unfair across the board, because this flies in the face of their assertions in the past that they want to curb election expenditure. Campaigning, the first phase is on 19th of April, isn't it? 19th of April, and the last phase is on the 1st of June. Whoever is going to polls on the 1st of June, for them, effectively, it's a 2-month-long campaign. The expenditure that they will incur is humongous. Not everybody can afford that. So you are indirectly, this flies in the face of everything that they said, and you are indirectly just encouraging this kind of thing. The other thing is, how will they monitor social posts? How are they going to stop? Will they stop the Prime Minister when he says something, or when he stop Mr. Amit Shah? It's all right to serve a notice to Rahul Gandhi. Even before the elections started, they've served him a notice. But what about the other thing? Mr. Amit Shah yesterday said that once the details of electoral bonds come out, opposition will have egg on its face. Now, what proof does he have? What proof does he have? Has the Election Commission asked him?
That's right.
So, I mean, the Election Commission must not only say the right thing, it must do the right thing. It has to be seen to be doing the right thing.
Right. Right. Vivek, coming to you now, talking about the 7-phase elections which Javed was just talking about, what do you really have to say? And coming as it does, just 3 days before, we've had this report on One Nation, One Election being submitted to the President of India. And now we see a 7-phase election. So does all this look like a myth versus reality kind of a thing?
Yeah, exactly. And that's a very valid point. And I have been saying this on many panels where I have spoken about this. You have been making very tall claim about one nation, one election. And when the opportunity is there, you squander it. I mean, you deliberately squander it. Here was an opportunity for the BJP to show to the world that they are capable of holding one nation, one election, and that this idea is very much possible to be implemented. But then, in run up to 2029, instead of proving that they can do it, they have staggered this 2024 election in 7-8 phases. You see, in Maharashtra, we have not seen election in 5 phases ever before. Last time, I think they were held in 3 phases. Now they are in 5 phases. So in states wherever you have problems, I mean, the BJP has problems, the election has been staggered over 5 to 7 phases. So this, what was the reason? And the reason was very clearly to allow the BJP to micromanage things in states like Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal. Even in West Bengal, last time also there were elections 7 phases. In Maharashtra now, there are elections in 5 phases because there are ground reports that in Maharashtra, the NDA is in trouble. So they are not going to get those many seats which they have got last time. And that is where the debt could be in their kitty this time. So if at all they have to get those 370 seats which they are planning to get, they need to micromanage elections in some of the states where they are in trouble. And that is exactly how the elections have been panned out. I mean, I'm not saying that Election Commission is complicit in this, but the only meaning that I can draw from the staggering of these elections over so many phases is that the BJP gets a leeway, BJP gets an opportunity to micromanage things, and this completely flies in the face of their claim that they are heading towards one nation, one election. If at all they had an opportunity here, they could have proven to the world that they can hold it. And as Javed rightly pointed out, the expenses that will be incurred over so many phases will certainly be very huge. And one of the prime reasons that they are giving out to substantiate, their claim for one nation, one election is that excessive funds are spent when the elections are held in different states at different times. So why did you not do it in the 2024? You could have restricted to 1 or 2 phases, maybe 3 phases at the most. But what is the justification for 7 phases? There is no justification. The only justification is that the BJP gets a chance to micromanage things. So this is really unfortunate. But then you can't help it. This is how it was going to be, and we have not been disappointed by the Election Commission as far as our fear or expectation of how the election will be panned out was concerned, Nilu.
Right. But this whole credibility about the Election Commission, Girish, I'll come to you. A lot of people are writing that Election Commission is putting up a facade of being impartial, whereas the reality is just the other way. And also about this 7-phase schedule which has been worked around. Do you think that that's really going to favor the ruling party and not the opposition parties, as what Javed said, that the last phase, the polling, the political parties will have to spend so much of money, till the last day. So Election Commission being an autonomous body, they are supposed to ensure a level playing field for all the political parties. How does one believe what Election Commission is saying is really true?
Nilu, in fact, this was just a promissory fraud, if you see. Whatever he said, if you go little back and see what happened to the cases, Madhya Pradesh recent, the previous election, 4,000 complaints. This time, 22, it was 11,000 complaints. And they have just sent a one-liner that all the issues have been solved. Where are they? Then they have started e-vigil, what they say. E-vigil never responds. You can send the video, but when will they respond? What he says that we have kept a controller officer. Worst part, if I remind you, I think Javed sir will also agree, will be knowing that. There was one Mohammad Mohsin, an IAS officer from Karnataka. He was posted in Odisha as a special observer. He made a mistake of checking the bags that landed from Mr. Modi's helicopter.
And he was
CAT had
promptly
to say that.
transferred.
Yes.
Yes, transferred. Only CAT had to then say, because CAT is obviously in the pressure on the same officer grade. They said that you could, but he was repatriated to the parent company. So this is the election commission doing. They should have given him an opportunity to listen. And what wrong was he doing? Because it was unprecedented that there were so many bags. Obviously, it is a security reason. Even if SPG is exempted from security, he was not doing anything beyond good intention. So free and fair, what he says. Now, if you see the schedule, see one thing they have falsified is Kashmir. When you say 370 and everything is peaceful, why do you need 5 phase? Then UP and BRE justifies telling that because there are possibilities of rioting and crime and everything, so we need some space there to control. So then Kashmir is, I understand. What is happening in Maharashtra? What is happening in UP, BR? Are they bad? So bad in situation. And West Bengal, when you say, it still doesn't stand somewhere in that 10 of the criminal record. So obviously, only thing what I understand from the schedule is they want to make the first phase star campaigners free, go to the second, then first and second, go to the third one. PM's Varanasi is the last. So, you know, the full opportunity gets 1 June is Varanasi. So this is absolutely guided by somebody, and that is very obvious because the sinceres have resigned. And if they are not able to resign, I can quote you the election officer of Patan, who was so pressurized that he jumped from the 3rd floor of the building and he committed suicide the same day. So obviously there is something wrong, and the schedule, I think there is no justification for that. Only thing is that what he says that anything which is they have to give in to 3 newspapers. I know in a local area where they said that if there's a criminal candidate, and if you have to justify that, why did you give him the ticket? You have to give an advertisement in 3 papers. The 3 papers that carry the message that all the papers have been bought for 1,500 rupees. They don't go into circulation. But the promise is made. So there are lot many things which are going to happen. And these every 7 days and 8 days, the gaps that have been given, that is obviously to tire the opposition. They have to spend a lot of resources and they don't have that. The accounts have been freezed. And then again, that criminal action that I think last, which very silently said is that we have already instructed the SPs and collectors that whosoever the mischievous characters should be booked in advance. This is a big message. Now, if opposition, who is a criminal, who is not a criminal, he will have to go and get him exonerated from Supreme Court otherwise. Before that, he is going to get inside.
Right.
So it's very obvious.
Right. Pushpraj, he also said today, Rajiv Kumar, that, there should be no appeals made on the caste and the religious lines. Then no criticism of any aspect of private life. Now, what all do you think could he have hinted when he said all this? Then he also said that the onus lies on the star campaigners. Now, what I'm wondering is that if Prime Minister Narendra Modi makes appeals on the basis of the Ram Temple consecration ceremony, or that his party has built Ram Temple, is Election Commission going to register a case against the Prime Minister? Are we going to expect the Election Commission doing that?
Hi, Neeluji, and good evening to all my panelists and the viewers. See, I mean, it's anybody's guess as to what the Election Commission will ultimately do. And in fact, the press conference today seemed to me as an anticipatory bail kind of procedure, that we are not going to conduct ourselves poorly. Please have faith in us. I mean, the fact that he took so much time, the Chief Election Commissioner took so much time to explain the EC's rich legacy was telling, because I felt that he did that just to signify, just to signal to the Indian electorate that, boss, we will try to be fair and impartial and so on and so forth. Whether they do that, only they know. And the fact of the matter is, everyone knows, and the EC's conduct proved to us that it seems to be an Agni Pariksha for the Election Commission. Whether they, I personally speaking, given past track record, given how their appointment was done, I don't have much faith in this. As I have said earlier, and I think all our esteemed panelists here will agree, the entire machinery of the state is colluding with the Election Commission to stack the dice against the opposition. Now, given this situation, I personally feel that we should assume the worst, and prepare for the worst. When I say this, I strongly feel that there is going to be no action taken against any recalcitrant candidates, especially from the ruling dispensation. Certainly, any imagined slight from the India parties will be firmly and strictly acted upon. Many other things that people have already said, we already know that the fact that it has been phased out over 7 phases, it's unprecedented. The fact that it gives an undue advantage to the ruling dispensation, that's all fine. But the bottom line is that it looks like an election commission by, for, and of the BJP.
Okay. Javed, now coming to the very important question, and in fact, one reporter asked Rajiv Kumar also about Arun Goel, who had resigned recently. And he said that, we have to respect the reasons why he resigned. And he hinted at the fact that he had personal reasons to resign. Now, is that a very credible answer? This was the first press conference after Arun Goel's resignation. It was very natural for the reporters to ask him this question, but to give that kind of a half-baked answer and just to imagine that, okay, that issue is over. What would one say really to that?
But are you surprised?
No, not at all. But
The code of omerta applies across, has been the leitmotif of this government. Not just those in government, but different organs also. Everybody, do you think, has Mr. Lavasa ever given you the reason why he opted for Manila? I mean, he would have been Chief Election Commissioner, no? So they know that there will be consequences. And the present Chief Election Commissioner, when asked about whether he would act against those in government, he appeared miffed. He appeared miffed at that question.
yes.
I expect of my election commission and my Chief Election Commissioner that he will not only do the right thing. I mean, the least I expect of him is to do the right thing, but also to be seen as doing the right thing. He didn't sound convincing at all. I mean, there are so many questions that they need to answer. What have they decided? Why didn't he? I don't know if anybody asked that question. Why didn't the Election Commission agree to 100% VVPATs?
Yes.
Okay, I believe, I take them at face value that this is the easiest thing in the world is to pat yourself on the back and be a legend in your own mind. So we are very good. We are very good at patting ourselves at the back. Oh, we have the best cricket team. Oh, we have the best thing, the best railways, the best this thing, the best election commission. Fine. So your best, I take it at face value. So go one step further, erase the last vestige of doubt that people have in their mind, have 100% VVPATs. Kya jata hai? They say the results will be delayed. For the first 65 years or 60 years, we used to have ballot papers and results would come out 48 hours after. The heavens didn't fall. If our election results or election, the process only catered for television, that by 12 in the afternoon it's all over and everybody can go home and have a drink in the evening. If it takes 24 hours, let it take 24 hours. But people should know that the vote has gone to the place where to the candidate they cast their vote. As it is, 101 theories are afloat about these about EVMs. So okay, I believe that EVMs are foolproof. But just to put speculation at rest, if you have nothing to have 100% VVPATs, what's preventing them? I still haven't got a convincing answer from it.
Absolutely. Yeah, he hasn't been able to answer on the VVPATs as well as
Why just blame him, even his predecessors? None of his predecessors have ever answered.
Vivek, I'll come to you now. This announcement has come at a time when this huge controversy regarding the electoral bond scam has just broken. People are still scouting for answers as to what has really happened, and uh, after Supreme Court has given a verdict, now Supreme Court allegedly seems to be slow walking now. Whether at all some strict action will be taken against SBI, against the defaulters, we do not know. But how do you think the things are really poised as far as this entire battle of 2024 is concerned? Modi versus India alliance. Yes, Vivek.
And about as far as the electoral bonds are concerned, we were all the time worried about why the Supreme Court is not taking it up sooner than later. And this case had been hanging fire since 2019. But finally, the Supreme Court did take it up, and in November they reserved the judgment, and they announced their judgment just a few days back. Now, if you look in hindsight, I think what has happened is good. Good that this verdict has come just a month and a half before the elections are going to happen. And this issue remains very fresh in the electorate mind. Had the Supreme Court rushed through this case and had the Supreme Court given its judgment, say about 2 years ago, this issue would have petered out because the BJP is very, very competent in brazening it out. So they would have brazened it out, and by now the election of this electorate bond issue would have dissipated. It's good that the Supreme Court took it up late. I don't know. I'm not saying that the Supreme Court did it by design, but even if by coincidence, it is good that the Supreme Court came out with this verdict just a month and a half before the elections. Now, howsoever the BJP may try to spin the narrative in its own favor as far as the electoral bonds are concerned, I think something will stick to it. If not 100%, at least 50%, something will stick to it, and they will be answerable. They will be at pains to explain to the people, the whole thing that went into designing these electoral bonds the way they did it. So I think that will really matter a lot to the electorate, and that will matter a lot to all the parties. I think the opposition has an opportunity here to turn the narrative against the BJP. What the opposition could also do is just steer clear of all those emotional issues with the BJP might. Now, I don't know if the election commission has announced that no party can campaign on caste or religious lines, how much they are going to monitor the BJP's campaign and whether they will seriously take it up against the BJP. I'm not sure, because BJP is an overtly communal party. They have used religion as an agenda of elections even during the campaigns. So it was done by their topmost leaders, and the election commission was not seen as doing anything against it. So whether they will take it up to the BJP when the BJP unfolds its campaign, I don't know. But what the opposition can do now is they have failed to create their own narrative over the last so many years. Ideological narrative was the most important thing that the opposition had to take up and create a very strong counter narrative of nationalism and Hinduism, not Hindutva. So the opposition failed to do that. The opposition was completely overawed by the Hindutva juggernaut, nationalism juggernaut of the BJP. But now they have a chance. Now they have a chance to take up this electoral bond corruption issue, because it was on the issue of corruption only that the Congress government, the NDA government, the UPA government had fallen. Now they can take it up. They can cite this as an example of the BJP's corruption. This surely is a corruption. Electoral bonds is it's an open and shut case. Now everything is out in the public domain, how the electoral bonds have been used by the ruling party. We know all the details now. Now the opposition has to kind of take this narrative to the people, not just this narrative, but the issues about unemployment, price rise, and the promises that the Congress has come out with, which have to do with the day-to-day affairs of the people's lives, rather than the issues of religion. And so the point is, the opposition must take it up and try to prevent they must bring the BJP to address the issues which they are taking up, rather than the
You're right,
BJP forcing them to take up the narratives that the BJP is setting. So 1.5 months is not a bad period for the opposition to bring the BJP to their narrative of people's issues, rather than they being forced to address the narrative of the BJP, which is overtly and covertly both religious and related to issues of religion and caste. So, 1.5 months, the opposition must set its own narrative and ask and force the BJP to answer those questions rather than the other way around. If the opposition manages to do that, I think this election is still very open. I mean, this impression that the BJP has already won this election is far from being true. I think there is a
That's right,
palpable
but
anger in the BJP,
no, but
and that must be tapped into.
as far as the issues are concerned, for the last 9.5 years, there hasn't been a dearth of issues. But Vivek, Pushpraj, I'll come to you now. Whether it was Pegasus, whether it was price rise, whether it was any other issue, there have been a plethora of issues on which the opposition hasn't been able to capitalize. And now that this huge electoral bond has come so close to the heels of the general elections, do you think that if opposition has not been able to gather its narrative in the last 9 years, in 1.5 months, what is that magic we can really expect the opposition to do? Do you think that they will be able to come up with a credible narrative? Will they be able to expose the government on this electoral bond scam? Will they be able to carry this message of corruption which BJP has indulged into, to the doorstep of the people?
Hi, see, Niluji, there are a few things here. Now, there are tremendous energies within the opposition parties that are waiting to be unleashed. And there is a generational issue here. I think many of these people here are aware of the fact that most of the dynamism that has happened, political dynamism, has happened outside the formal political systems, whether it's the farmers' protest, whether it's the student protest, so on and so forth. That shows that there is a glass ceiling, a thick glass ceiling in every political party that is disallowing newer energies to come up, which can tackle the BJP more frontally. That is the biggest challenge. If you see, there are a number of issues. All of us here have enumerated X number of issues that the BJP can be pinned on, in which they have not really done good for either the people or the nation. The problem is the kind of politics that is required to take on the BJP, the kind of dynamism this is required, is missing in someone who has been in power for the last 30, 40 years. They don't feel that urgency, that heat, that anger in them. So you need to pass the baton on to younger stewardship, younger leadership. That's the first problem. The second thing, with regard to Pegasus, with regard to the electoral bonds things, please understand this. If you see the sentiment analysis on the ground, electoral bonds, the connection that is being made with BJP has not been established. This is primarily a failure of the media, not the opposition parties. They are trying their level best. However, understand this. I don't agree with this argument, but in mass consciousness, the peg is 1.75 lakh crores, the 2G spectrum. So until and unless you have been able to breach that, the electorate does not think that it's kosher. It's that you've done something, you've gone beyond the realm of electoral bonds. This judgment actually severely circumscribes the opposition. If you remember, if you read the judgment, if anyone has read the judgment carefully, it caps the donation, the percentage of donation of corporate profits to 5% in the preceding fiscal year, which means most of those business houses which were supposed to donate to India parties have already done so in the previous election, primarily the Congress, in the previous 5 elections. The fiscal year ends in March, which means that most business houses will not be able to donate to the India parties. That's the one big problem. Understand this, the electoral bond judgment actually handcuffs the opposition in a way like no other administrative or political decision that this government has done. Yes, it has exposed the BJP, but people are saying, so what? You did 1.75 lakh crore scam. So this is not going to be a central narrative. It is at best a tactical way to put the BJP on the back foot. The real issues continue to be the fact that China has captured your land. that inflation is at a record high, that consumption expenditure is a record low, unemployment is at a record high.
You are saying, Pushparaj, that this electoral bond scam, of course, cannot become the big idea of the India Alliance.
It can't be. If you make that mistake, then you are going to play. This is going to be like Rafael. Rafael was a much bigger scam than this electoral bond thing. Yes, it is legalized corruption. Yes, there is quid pro quo. Yes, it has basically benefited certain companies. But the fact of the matter is the quantum is not large enough for the electorate to think that this is something really bad. Yes, the people like us, you and I, it's like a bubble. We are speaking amongst ourselves. We are all convinced about the fact that this is legalized corruption and this is not kosher. But the Aam Janta, who is not really bothered, who is voting on the basis of this, is not particularly bothered about 6,000 crores of corruption. He thinks that UP and BJP has already started putting out tweets. 1.75 lakh 2G spectrum, 40,000 crores coal gam. How are you going to match that? Corruption is not the issue you pin them on. It is you make it, and if you make it corruption centric, you are going to again make it Modi centric. That is where you lose the game. You have to make it localized issue. You have to say roti, kapda, makan, sadak, bijli, pani, jaan, jahan, jivika. Is this what you have got? If you have not got it, don't vote for your candidate. You're not voting for Modi, you're voting for your candidate. This is the mistake that all of us are making.
Absolutely. So, Girish, important point Pushparaj has made. So, if you look at the battle of 2024, and if electoral bonds scam, as what Pushparaj is saying, of course, cannot become the big idea for the India Alliance, if they've been waiting all this while, that let's grab onto the big idea, and maybe corruption is that one issue on which they can pin down BJP. And as what Pushparaj is saying, of course, you need other issues. So, going purely by what Pushparaj has just said, are we in a position to arrive at a conclusion that the opposition India Alliance is just not ready with the narrative which is required to counter BJP or Prime Minister Narendra Modi?
Nilu, let me just tell you what we are reading between the lines. You see the chronology. Normally, Bhajap or particularly Amit Shah does not make a statement without some long-term benefits. In the afternoon, he says that we have received much lesser money than what everybody has received. Suddenly, their trawlers and their paid employees, and they all start immediately, and they have put into the mind of the people that everybody has got the money. Now that fails. But if you read between the lines, if you replay and see what the election commissioner today assured is that any messages which are not confirmed, we will bring them down. And they also are going to create a portal which will just give you the report that this is false. They will do fact check. Now, if you understand the whole scenario, even as on today, legally, you will not be able to establish that 16,000 crores have gone to BJP. If you speak something, and immediately your statements will be brought down. So ultimately, indirectly, they have already secured them. Because unless this report of SBI comes and then SBI comes to the court and then everything is established legally, see, finding of the private parties will not stand in the legal purview. So anything when you speak against this money has gone to this man and this man, but that unless you substantiate, it will be taken as a fake news and brought it down. So they have already assured that whatever you say, religious aspects, they know that whatever they wanted to play, they have already done. Now they have been established as the Hindu Samrats. Now they are coming to this. We will give you ration, we will give you employment, now we will do this, we are bringing these schemes. So they have already set their narratives now. Only thing is how the opposition or Indian Alliance is now going to counter with them. Because I think as on today, unless something concrete comes where A and B are established, they will not be able to sell this product too much, I think. And Election Commission, we know its bias. It will definitely be heavier on the Indian Alliance rather than as we have already seen in the past also. So everything has been well prepared. That's what I doubt. I think this won't work much when you say that these companies have taken away the money and what, unless we have been able to establish one-to-one.
But 1.5 months, Vivek, whatever time, I mean, the Model Code of Conduct has started today. And exactly 1.5 months from now, I mean, 1st June, the election gets over, 4th June is counting. Is that time enough now for India Alliance to put things together? In all these years, they've not been able to do the task, but can they do it in the next 1.5 months?
No, it's a very tall order, Nilu. They have to do a lot of pinch hitting, as we say in cricket. And unless they do that, I don't think they will be able to retrieve the situation to some honorable extent. But I think it's still good enough time for them to set the narrative, to work on the narrative, to hit hard on the narrative, and at least prevent the BJP from getting the kind of numbers they are projecting. They can even prevent the BJP from getting a majority. Even if the opposition manages to restrict them to 250, I think it will be as good as BJP's defeat. It's okay that BJP might cobble up some kind of a alliance and still go back to the seat of power. But then, even if you manage to restrict them to 250, that will be a good enough result for this election. Of course, I mean, for the opposition to dream of a majority in 2024 is just wishful thinking as the things stand today, until and unless the people have decided to vote them to the seat of power. There's no perception about that as if, as of now in the society, we don't know whether the people have decided, like in 1977, to vote the Janata Party to power. Whether the people have decided to vote the opposition to power, we don't know. I mean, I have not done any ground truthing to that effect. But if the people have decided, then only the opposition has a thin chance of getting there. But if the people are still if the people's votes are still heavily loaded in BJP's favor, the most that the opposition can still achieve is prevent that magic figure of 275 to be accrued to the BJP's kitty. Now, how much of that the opposition will be able to do that, I'm not sure about that. They have not shown enough resolve and still to do that till now. Whether they will be able to do achieve that to some extent in the next 1.5 months is for them to decide. For me, the situation seems heavily loaded in the BJP's favor, at least today. Let's wait and see, Neelu.
That's what the general perception is. And for the concluding comments now, Pushpraj, I'll come to you. Whatever I've been speaking to, with the opposition parties, I'm told that there are some 350 seats on which there is a direct one-to-one contest. That is what the opposition parties are saying. But the big question is that can the opposition parties restrict BJP to 250 seats? If at all that is the target, then is that the achievable target? That's the biggest question at this point of time.
Look, I think that if everyone fights the election unitedly, and if you allow younger leadership to take charge, trust me on this, you can actually limit the BJP to 150. They are not going to be able to cross a number of seats. I mean, apart from the Hindi heartland, they are losing out in Bihar, in Maharashtra, in many other states, Odisha, Karnataka, Telangana. They are actually not in West Bengal. They're not in a very good situation, which is why they are poaching people left, right, and center, which is why they're raiding people, which is why they are freezing the opposition parties' accounts. Understand this. They are in dire straits. The problem is, although they are trying to, be nimble-footed and trying to get their act together very fast, the BJP is, and they're constantly being on their toes. The problem is the opposition party, the parties are slow, glacial, and they are basically analog players in a digital world. They are not being able to get their act together fast enough. And think about this. There are so many issues. There are so many people, farmers, soldiers, the pehlwans, the wrestlers, students. They're desperate. The diaspora Indians desperately wanting to ally and work for the India parties. The fact of the matter is that these people are just not being able to create new systems to work with them. There are so many issues that can be taken up. Do you see, Vivek ji is a journalist, all three of you are like very eminent people who are listening. Have you seen a communication apparatus so rotten that is unable to actually creatively rethink how to reach out to the people? I mean, I remember 1942 when the Quit India movement was done, the similar situation, the state clamped down on all sources of information, news, radio, so on and so forth. Usha Mehta and others started a underground radio service and they were jumping literally from place to place doing that. What is stopping people from reaching out to independent? What is stopping the primary opposition party, the Congress party, the DMK, the SP, the NCP, Shiv Sena and others from reaching out to independent YouTubers, from people who are actually on running WhatsApp channels and getting them connected to create an alternative news system? This is a failure of political imagination of the mainstream parties. And I strongly feel that this is not about the parties. The parties, people are wanting to vote for India. And India, there is tremendous energies within the India parties to actually capitalize that. There is a small layer on top, which is blocking this energy from coalescing together. If you remove that, you've got a victory.
Right. Last point to you, Girish. So what would you really say to this battle 2024, the battle royale? What does it look like at the moment? Is it something like David versus Goliath?
See, the things are very clear. As Pushpa said, there are a lot of seats that they're going to lose. Because I'm still skeptical about what is happening in Maharashtra. If this is a trap which Sharad Pawar has laid, after this now things getting out of the hands of the ruling party to send CBI and CID, we can expect a lot of changes. In Maharashtra, normally, I think this why he will agree with me that they just said chuki jali, and he will just catch his ears and he is exonerated. So if they say sorry, what we happened is wrong when we went there. And I'll tell you one thing is when we talk to some Bajap fellows who are now sitting on the fence to decide where they go, they say that udhar jaake karenge kya? I have to just stand there as a peon or as a watchman. When MPs have no value, this is the difficulty that repeated MPs, I'm very skeptical about this, that the MPs who have been repeated will not win. Because they have not been able to do anything. I have seen people in public meeting telling MPs, आपका कुछ चलता तो है नहीं. आपने अभी तक क्या किया? You have not asked a single question in parliament. So after the social media, people have also gone away. And I think this time, it's not India or NDA. This time, people are really going to decide because everybody has got the pin somewhere or the other. So exactly like after emergency, the post-emergency scenario, people have now decided that nothing but these people should go out because it's too much now.
All right, so we'll have to wait and watch how the campaign now unfolds. And of course, the Model Code of Conduct has started today with the first phase of polling happening on 19th of April. And the last phase is on 1st of June. Counting is going to be held on 4th of June. So we'll have to wait and watch. Thank you so much, Girish, Vivek and Pushpaj for joining. And one appeal to the viewers who are watching this discussion, subscribe to our channel, send us a feedback and stay tuned to The Federal.
The Federal is organizing the Tenkasi Marathon 2024 on March 24. This marathon is about raising awareness for 100% voting, supporting breast cancer awareness and celebrating International Women's Day month. This event is sponsored by Anayam Scan.
Subscribe to The Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.